Hi guys, today I'm going to be reading to you Diary of the Wimpy Kid, The Getaway Part 1 and 2. So let's get started. So basically I'm reading half of the book. My grandpa is just right there, so don't mind him. He's not going to speak. He's just going to sit there and listen to my story. Right? Okay. December. Sunday. The worst part of having someone tell you about their vacation is trying to pretend you're happy for them. Because no one wants to hear about all the fun they didn't have. The only vacations I want to hear are about the ones where things went wrong. That way I don't feel bad for missing out. Yawn. Well, my grandma just got back from vacation, and believe me, if I could have stayed home, I would have. But I didn't have a choice. A few weeks ago, the vacation wasn't even supposed to happen. We were just having a normal December, and I was really looking forward to Christmas. But Mom and Dad were getting all stressed out about everything we had to do to get ready for the holidays. We were way behind on decorating the house, and nothing was going to get the way it was supposed to. I'm sure we could have gotten our act together in time for Christmas, but one night an ad came on TV that totally turned our holidays upside down. Escape to luxury, escape to paradise. The commercial was for this place called Isla de Coros, which is where Mom and Dad went for their honeymoon. And the reason I know that is because every time an ad for that place comes on TV, the two of them get all kissy face. Schmoot. It makes me uncomfortable thinking about Mom and Dad before they had us kids. And I wouldn't have to if Mom didn't break out their honeymoon every year on their anniversary. The night after that ad came on, Mom and Dad made an announcement. They said that this year we were going to skip Christmas and all go to Isla de Coros instead. When I asked how we were going to get our gifts to the resort, Mom said the trip was our gift. I thought that sounded like a terrible idea, and I was surprised Dad was on board with it. He usually doesn't like to spend a lot of money. I was sure this resort was going to cost a fortune, but he said he was sick of the cold weather and he wanted to escape to someplace warm. Personally, I don't have a problem with cold weather. In fact, generally speaking, the worse it is outside, the happier I am. Pop up here and look at the pictures too. You can look at them while I'm reading. I figured Manny and Ronick would help me talk some sense to Mom and Dad, and we'll put a stop to this idea, but those guys weren't any help at all. So I had to accept that we were going to have a normal Christmas at home, that we weren't going to have a normal Christmas at home, but what I really didn't like was that we had to fly to this place. I had never been on a plane before, and I wasn't crazy about the idea. I locked myself in a metal tube. Nobody else seemed worried, though. And 2 weeks later, on a night when we should have been hanging up our stockings and sitting around the fire watching Christmas specials, we were packing our suitcases for this island getaway. Monday, we left the house around 8 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve. Dad was pretty uptight because he wanted to leave an hour earlier, but Mom said he was being ridiculous and we'd get to the airport in plenty of time. It was only about 20 degrees outside, but Ronick was already dressed for vacation. Turned out Dad was right. We should have left earlier. Especially Christmas Eve is one of the busiest travel days of the year, so the roads were choked with families driving to see their relatives. Nobody seemed to be in the Christmas spirit either. Honk, honk, honk. Airport 15 miles. There we are. What made things a lot worse was when it started to snow. After that, things slowed to a crawl. Mom and Dad started arguing over what time we should have left, and Dad almost missed the exit for the airport. He had to cut across 3 lanes of traffic, which didn't look easy. When we reached the airport, the main parking lot was full. That meant we had to park in the economy lot, which was pretty far away. Dad said he'd drop the rest of us off at the curb with the luggage and then come meet us after he parked. When we got to the passenger drop-off area, it was complete chakus. We tried to unload our bags, but the cops wouldn't let anyone stop for more than 30 seconds, and that just stressed everyone out and made things worse. Tweet, tweet, tweet. You know, you're in the camera.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Just my fat belly. You gotta let me up.
No, you don't.
I gotta go make breakfast. I'm getting hungry.
No. I need you to sit here. I need you to hold my camera. So you saw that, right? Sorry if my grandpa's moving too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to bet?
I can do it after the video. Oh. Okay. Sorry guys, that was a long time. But I had to get back in the van so I could help Dad with the rest of the bags. Ordinarily, that kind of thing would have been Veronic's job, but since he was dressed for 80-degree weather, he got out of it. He was lucky he did too. When we got to the gate for the economy lot, Dad couldn't reach his ticket from his window, so he made me get out of the car to grab it. The sign, after we parked, we rolled our back. Unfortunately, I didn't notice that there was a giant slush puddle on the side of the car until it was too late. After we parked, we rolled our bags to the nearest shuttle stop, which wasn't a lot of fun. The sign said the shuttle bus to the main terminal came at every 10 minutes, but there was no room for us in the bus shelter. So we had to wait outside in the freezing cold. 20 minutes went by without a bus, and Dad started really obnoxious about the time. He said we were going to have to walk to the terminal, which was about a mile away. We could have tried to convince Dad to wait a little longer, but my sock was starting to turn to ice, and I didn't want to get frostbite. Sure enough, once we got about 100 feet from the shelter, the shuttle bus stopped pulled into the 100 feet from the shelter. The shuttle bus pulled into the parking lot. We tried to get the bus driver to stop, but he just flew right by us. So we ran to the shuttle stop, but we didn't make it back in time. Now Dad was really worried about missing our flight. I told him missing the flight wouldn't be the worst thing to happen, but we didn't seem to be in the mood to hear what I had to say. By the time we got to the terminal, we were both soaking wet and miserable. So when a pickup truck almost hit us on the sidewalk, it made Dad really mad, and he let the driver know. Then That just made the driver mad, and he pulled his truck over and stepped out of his vehicle. We didn't stick around long to talk things over with this guy. We ran into the opposite direction and blended in with some people standing on the sidewalk. Dad told me to learn a lesson from this, which is never to lose your temper or do something stupid, but I took away a different lesson. When he flees get in trouble, he flees, run. The rest of the family was waiting inside the entrance to the terminal. Mom wanted to know what took us so long, and Dad wanted to know why she hadn't gotten along with Manny and Monica and held a place for us. It took 20 minutes for us to get through the check-in line. But when Dad put our big suitcase on the stair, the person at the counter said it was too heavy and it was going to cost extra money to check it. But Dad said the airline was ripping us off and we weren't going to give them an extra nickel. So we took some clothes out of the suitcase and stuffed them into our carry-on bags. By the time we got everything started out, we had a half hour to get our ticket before the flight started boarding. And when we got to the security area, it was a total zoo. There were 2 lines, one for families and one for bus travelers. I guess Dad usually goes through the business travelers. I guess Dad usually goes through the business lane when he travels for work, so he didn't seem too happy about being stuck with the rest of the family in the family lane. Anytime you add the word family to something, you know things are going to be bad. And trust me, I've been to enough family restaurants to know what I'm talking about. We waited in the security line a long time. We finally made it to the front. But then some kid a few rows behind us started pressing the buttons on the poles that hold the barriers together. All of a sudden, there was nothing keeping the line separated. For a second, no one moved. And then things completely fell apart. By the time the security agents got to the zip barriers were connected, we ended up at the back of the line, and the family with the kid who caused all the trouble was at the front. Now, Mom and Dad were really stressed because our flight was supposed to leave at any minute. Dad begged one of the security agents to let us go to the front, but he didn't seem too sympathetic. I thought we were going to miss our flight, so I didn't really see the point of going through security. But Dad said sometimes they leave the gate open until the last second, and we might still make it. We finally got to the front line, and we put our bags on the conveyor belt. Then we took off our coats and shoes and put them into plastic bins. So when Manny saw the rest of us, when Manny saw what the rest of us were doing, and he started taking off his clothes too. Luckily, Mom noticed in time and stopped him before he could go any further. Manny wasn't finished causing problems, apparently. He thought the conveyor belt was some kind of rat, and he was really upset when he found out it wasn't. People behind us were getting frustrated. We weren't moving, but we were held up by being a guy in front of us. He had to remove everything he had that was on metal. And it was taking him forever. Monica told me these machines can see through your clothes, and then someone checks the screen to make sure you're not trying to sneak by with anything dangerous. All I can say is I don't want to be the person with that job. It turns out the X-ray machine that sees through your clothes is only for grown-ups and kids to go through a metal detector and since I wasn't going to take any chances. Once we were through security, we grabbed our stuff from the conveyor belt and took off. Our gate was going down on the lower level, so we had to take the escalator. We couldn't even do that without causing a major problem. Mary's stuffed animal got stuck on the bottom of the escalator, and we had to press the emergency stop button so Mom could pull it free. Dad checked his watch and said we might still make it, so we ran for our gate. But the gate was all the way at the other end of the turning lane, and we knew we wouldn't make it in time on the foot. Just then a cart for handicapped passengers came along, and Dad stopped it and asked the driver if we could hitch a ride. The rest of us got on board before she could say no. After that, it was smooth sailing. The terminal was pretty crowded, but people moved out of our way when they heard us coming. The driver dropped us off but the door was closed. I thought that meant we missed our flight and we couldn't turn around. And we could turn around and enjoy a nice Christmas Eve at home. But it turned out the flight was delayed. But it turned out the flight was delayed, so all that stress was for nothing. The reason the flight was delayed was because of the bad weather, and it was going to be another hour before we got on the plane. We looked for a place to sit down in the boarding area, but people were hogging the seats. Mom told me once we got on the plane, we'd be in the air for about 6 hours, which was news to me. I asked her for some money, and I bought a couple of magazines, some snacks, and headphones at the shop near our gate. The only thing I needed that the store didn't have was socks. My right sock was still soaking wet from stepping in that puddle, so I went into the bathroom to wring it out in the sink. When I was done, my sock was still damp, and I really didn't want to put it back on my foot. And the bathroom. I want to put it back on my foot. The bathroom had one of those high pair of hair dryers, and that gave me an idea. I couldn't wait to get back home and started making some money on this idea. I figured I could make a killing on rainy days. The only problem with the hand dryer in the airport bathroom was that it was a little too powerful. My socks started smoking and then it went flying. I decided just to get a new pair of socks at the resort because there was no way I was going to wear something I had to fish out of the uniform. When I came back from the restroom, they were making an announcement at our gate. I figured that they were ready to start boarding the plane, but there was just letting us know that there was another delay. And it was on that for the rest of the day. Apparently the storm was causing problems everywhere, and the plane we were supposed to fly on was stuck at some other airport. I was starting to worry that my electronic device was going to run out of juice when I was on the plane, so I looked for a plane to charge it, for a place to charge it. But I guess everyone else was thinking the same idea. The only bill about was an awkward place, but when your battery is 15%, you gotta do what you gotta do. Our family arrived at the gate, and all the passengers who were on it got off. But if flying was supposed to be fun, you never know it from the way these people looked. The gate agent got on the loudspeaker and said we were boarding slowly. Then she said our flight was overbooked and needed a few volunteers to get up there. She said that whoever volunteered first would get $300 and a free night at the airport hotel. I didn't need to hear another word. I got to the desk before she even finished my announcement and said I was her guide. Unfortunately, Mom wouldn't let me volunteer. Nobody else stepped up either. So the gate agent increased the offer to $500, and some woman grabbed it up right away. I just hope she enjoyed spending her money. After that, the agent made another announcement. She said the flight crew on our plane had worked too many hours because of all the delays. We had to wait for a replacement crew to come in before we could take off. Now, everyone at our gate was mad because what was supposed to be an early flight was turning into an overnight one. When the new flight crew finally arrived, they didn't look happy to be there. That's probably because they were expected to spend Christmas Eve at home, so I knew exactly how they felt. After the crew got on board, they started letting passengers on the plane. My family got to go first because they let people with young kids board before anyone else. But the gate agent stopped me at the door. She said my carry-on bag was too big to fit in the overhead bin, so I had to take it down with me to the rest of the luggage. That was fine with me because I didn't want to deal with my bag on the plane anyway. I asked Mama where we were, and she said we needed to keep moving. She said this was the first class section, and our seats were in the economy. But the economy section wasn't half as nice as the first class. The seats were packed together, and they barely had any cushioning. We said our seats were toward the middle of the plane, so we had it there. But Dad hung back in the first class section. He said he got the upgrade because of his frequent flyer miles, and that he'd catch up with us after we landed. Mom didn't seem happy about this news, so she said it wasn't fair for him to be in first class while we were in the economy. She said we'll take turns sitting in Dad's seat during the flight. But Dad said the rest of us were experienced travelers like him, and we wouldn't know how to act in first class. Luckily, there were other passengers trying to board, so Mom and Dad could get a full-blown argument right there in the aisle. Dad sat down in his seat, and Dad sat down in his seat, and we went to find ours. The rest of us were all in the same row. Mom, Ronick, and Manny sat on one side of the aisle, and I sat in the middle seat on the other side. Ronick tried to get me to switch with him so he didn't have to sit by Manny, but I was happy right where I was. I didn't have a whole lot of leg room, but other than that was... Other than that, it wasn't so bad. All the other passengers boarded after us, and people seemed... I'm back here, guys. And people seemed... All those passengers boarded after us, and people seemed pretty stressed to get their stuff into the overhead bin, so I was glad they took my bag at the gate. Everyone put away their bags and sat down in their seats. The pilot made an announcement that the doors were closing and the seats to my left and right were still empty. I couldn't believe my luck. As soon as we took off, I was going to stretch out across all three seats and get myself a good night's sleep. It was even better than being in first class. Right before the doors closed, one more couple get on board, and they had a baby with them. I didn't think these people would be in my row because there were 2 empty seats, but the baby sat in his mother's lap. See, if I were in charge of the airline, there would be 1 person per seat, which if the couple had twins, it would be completely out of hand. I asked these parents if one of them wanted to switch seats with me so they could be next to each other, but the mother said she liked the middle, and her husband said she liked to be on the aisle. Right after that, the pilot came on the intercom. The people said, he said that we took off. There'd be a brief safety video to show us what we do in case of an emergency. I was very nervous about flying to be with it. I didn't like hearing there might be an emergency, so when the safety video played, I paid attention. But as far as I could tell, I was the only person who did. Everybody else turned down. In the beginning of the movie was just basic stuff, like how to fasten a seatbelt.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I thought you had to go somewhere this morning.
We didn't go because bye guys!